That
Hello,
was my
everyone.
fault.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there,
I
but
pressed it
I,
twice.
I suppose, Amanda, that kind of sums up what we've seen from Arsenal today.
Absolute
So it's,
shambles.
yeah,
I pressed it
quite
twice.
fitting, really. But yeah, that aside, thank you everyone for tuning into the Same Old Arsenal podcast. It's going to be a difficult one tonight, I think, guys. It's going to be really difficult to chat through this one. But one person that does always bring a smile to my face whenever he's on the podcast, JJ, pleasure having you on once again, mate. Try and bring some positivity to my brain at the minute because at the moment it's not looking too good.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on, everybody. Much obliged to be here. Thank you.
That's all he needed to say. And suddenly my world is enlightened again. No, great to have you on, mate. Chris, great to have you back as always, mate.
I love you, James. I love you so dearly. Let's start with that. How about that?
What James is that to, mate? Is that to me or to JJ?
Both of you. Do you know what? Both
Fantastic.
of you. I love you both equally. Like if you've got children and you can't pick between the two.
Okay, so we've gotten off to a very, very heartwarming start, Amanda. Are we going to keep that going? I'm guessing from the little ramble we had before we clicked that go live button that maybe the positivity won't be spread all the way to your fine self.
Do you know, it's really weird. I'm just like so disappointed. It was I got a ticket late and I was in row 6 and I just loved all the atmosphere before and everything. And we'll go into it, but I'm so disappointed. So disappointed.
I'll stick with you, Amanda, seeing as you were at the game. I mean, after the result against Liverpool, where we cruised for about 40 minutes, played some really good stuff, only to be pegged back to 2-2. I think this time last week we were talking about that as being a positive result, albeit we weren't feeling it on the day. But in hindsight, yeah, we were quite happy with the point. Today, no debate whatsoever. It's 2 points dropped. It's a really, really tough pill to swallow. Being at the game, I mean, how was it at the stadium?
The atmosphere was really good. I was really looking forward to all the singing and everything, and that was great. And before the game, I never like watching a game so low down because you can't see the end, the other side. However, it was fantastic to be there. I felt absolutely honoured to actually have a ticket. Lovely to see everyone again. A lot of football friends I haven't seen for a while on the away games. Atmosphere was really good, very close to the players. I've posted something on my Instagram where they were training, pre-match warm up, and it was all great, and it was fabulous. Weirdly, I've gone a bit like Chris now. I'm not going to predict, so I didn't predict anything for this game, and I was so concerned because they are so bad, West Ham, that I was that concerned because they are so bad that this could be another one of those where could we I didn't think we'd lose. I didn't predict anything. I just had in my sort of mind that this isn't going to be what everyone around me was going, yeah, we'll get 4 or 5. I didn't know anyone, by the way, around me. And I'm sitting there going, I'll just take a win. I don't care. I just want to get a win. We desperately need to win. And obviously it started off absolutely beautiful. We just went mad at 2-0, and then we stopped and we played like we were 18-0 up. We did everything wrong. But I, I just I'm just very disappointed, and I'm allowed to be. And I was absolutely fuming at Thomas Partey for what he did in and getting with the ball. Oh my god, I haven't calmed down because I haven't been in that long. However, let's bring all of the others in because I could go all night, Cookie. You know that.
Oh, I certainly do. Yeah, it's very right to feel disappointed, and I think all of us share that opinion. I think every single Arsenal fan on Twitter in the world is currently sharing that mindset because it's the exact same as what we saw last week, and we didn't learn a single thing. And the thing that is the most frustrating for me, Chris, is this sort of swagger we've got at 2-0 up. This element of arrogance, as if we're a team that's already won the league, like we're waltzing to victory. Reality is at 2-0, we're 10 minutes into the game. Nothing is won, and any away game in the Premier League is a tough one. And if you're 4-5-0 up, okay, try the back flick, try the back heel, do it all. I couldn't care less. If there's 5 minutes left and you're 5-0 up, do whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is, when it's that early in the game, when one goal changes the entire mood, the entire dynamic, and we're playing like that, I mean, was that where the game was lost for you, Chris?
The word that keeps ringing in my head is arrogance. And I think there's an arrogance about today's performance that is slightly concerning. If I'm going to try and look at some positives, perhaps I think Arteta's even noticed that, because I feel like he even made some comments in his post-match presser where he talked about, we did some really, really good things. We were in control, and then suddenly we let them in it. And there was he even made a pointed statement about flicks, and obviously Partey, who did that flick that then Declan Rice handballs it to get them through. But I think there was an element of arrogance that we're 2-0 up. This is an opportunity, we can go and get 4 or 5. And actually, it's arrogance on fans as well. I think I even tweeted when we were 2-0 up, we need to get the third now. We need to get third, 4. I'm thinking to myself, come on, let's go on and absolutely smash this and get goal difference up. And I think about 5 minutes after I tweeted that, and before they scored their first goal, I thought to myself, who cares? Just win the football match. And maybe that's an arrogance. That's an arrogance that I had as an Arsenal fan. And actually that's an arrogance that the team had as well, because they thought, we're smashing these guys. This is a training ground exercise. And even they were saying it in commentary, this is a training ground exercise. And what ended up happening was we breathed life into an opponent that had nothing. Like, their fans were booing just before they scored. Their fans were starting to boo their touches. And we gave them life. We, once again, as we've seen in many, many seasons, we breathed life into an opponent that really was giving nothing.
I was the exact same as you when we went to 2-0. And again, this is probably arrogance on my part, but I'm sure a lot of us were having the same opinion, get that goal difference up, because they kept highlighting it in the commentary that we're something like, at that point, we were 5 goals behind City. And I was like, right, we've scored 2 in the first 10 minutes. There's absolutely no reason why we can't go on to win this at least 4-0. And that would have been fantastic for the goal difference, the morale, given that we just had that result at Anfield, would have been absolutely perfect. But similarly to you, Chris, when it got to 2-1, it was very much a case of just get the points, because that's exactly how I was feeling this time last week at Anfield. But then again, JJ, coming to you, we've gone to places like Craven Cottage, who have been fantastic at home this season. Okay, they're a bit out of form in the minute, but we won that game comfortably 3-0, didn't give them a sniff, but we fell apart after 20 minutes today.
Yeah, because again, it's the word that everyone keeps saying. It's the arrogance. We started doing Charlie Big Potatoes football when we were only 2-0 up. And if you look at yesterday, soon as Man City went 2-0 up yesterday, I turned the telly off. I went, I can't be bothered. No Man City fan watches us at 2-0 up and turns it off. That's the difference, because we don't have the experience of killing it off and winning through that team. Because okay, there's players there that have won the title elsewhere, but there isn't title winners in that squad themselves. And that's the difference. And I saw people on Twitter going, oh, it's another cauldron of an arena for us to give it a rest. There's a running track and a bubble machine. There's nothing intimidating about that football ground. It's the stock room of Forever 21. It's not a football stadium. Don't get it twisted. There is nothing to panic about going away at West Ham. And you summed it up brilliantly. They were booing them at half time, just before it's half time, and you're like, right, Arteta, get into them now. They had that free kick that they played short and he blew the whistle straight away. Their fans were ringing on them like, you absolute idiots, go long into the box. You know what Arsenal were like? I mean, today their throw-ins were like corners because, again, we panicked because they were doing long throws. There was a time in the second half where Rob Holding and Tierney ran into each other trying to head the ball away. That's how bad it is. And yeah, it was just, again, it's manager inexperience. Okay, he brought the right players on, but I think he took the wrong players off today.
You make a really good point about having no experience at this point in the season in terms of seeing out these wins and grinding out the results. But at 2-0, Amanda, a month ago, even though we've had injuries and okay, we've not got William Saliba, okay, we don't have Tomiyasu, didn't have Zinchenko today, our backline has taken something of a battering in the past couple of weeks, but surely Arsenal have got to see out a 2-0 lead. you know, to have lost a 2-0 lead 2 games in a row, that for me is really concerning. And I was worried about the knock-on effect last week could have had. But the way we started the game today, I was like, oh, okay, you know, don't need to worry about that because the team have obviously bounced back and they're looking great. But now it's happened twice in a row. Like I said, I don't think this would have happened 2 months ago. Because, okay, yeah, we do concede goals, but normally we're winning games comfortably at that point. They come quite late. They're, you know, kind of scrappy. But is it a case of those defensive frailties are starting to catch up with us now?
Yes, there is that. And I just want to go back to something else. West Ham did not sing a song for the first 30 minutes. I turned around to the boys behind me and I said, don't West Ham normally sing? And they were right. And they said, what have they got to sing about? They're fighting a relegation battle. It was silent. Boy, did that change when it went 2-1. We became silent and the ground was then singing. I didn't hear booing, to be honest, but maybe on TV you'd have heard that. They were just silent. However, I don't understand. We go 2-0 up at a ground where we should have got 4, 5, or 6 to build up the goal difference, and we play around so much. I don't get it. Surely Arteta's not taught them this on the training ground. I can't believe that. It didn't help that Zinchenko wasn't playing. I don't think the players trust Tierney. I can see it in their eyes. Remember, I'm there watching it quite at ground level. I don't think they trust him. We missed Zinchenko. And I do, and I know you've been saying this, Cooks, for about a month, well, as long as Saliba's been out. We cannot take Holding to the Etihad. That is a definite. We may have no choice. I don't know how fit he's going to be, but what we all have to remember as well. And one thing that it felt like last season a bit. I was at West Ham last season. I was in corporates. It was a bit different. We just about beat them last season, and then it all fell to pieces. Do you remember when we had to beat Tottenham and Newcastle, and we just lost going forth? It felt like that. That's how I'm feeling right now. It could be because I was at the game and I feel a little bit disheartened, and maybe I'll wake up tomorrow because all I'm getting from the older lot on Twitter is, Amanda, come on, remember 89, remember what happened when Wimbledon and Derby. I never know which one we lost and drew, but it was chaos. And I even said, and I've said it all the time, I didn't want to go to Anfield because I just thought there was no point. And I think this is what a lot of fans are feeling about the Etihad. But I would like to point out, we got to play Southampton on Friday night first. If we beat Southampton and we get a point at the Etihad or even win, it can happen. It's all on. So it's not out of our hands yet. It's in both our hands. And I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. And I've got a City friend that's in the chat room, I can see. The minute those allegations were thrown at them, they weren't even playing that well. They all came together as one, and I don't think they've lost a game since. They're steamrolling at the moment. That's the problem. I can't see them losing a game. I can't. I don't even know their fixtures. It doesn't matter because I can't see them losing a game.
Can I jump in just with some
Yeah,
thoughts, just to support you there, Amanda? So I won't dwell on this too much, but in 1989, the season finished Arsenal on goal difference with 76 points. We are on 74 points right now. So football isn't like how it used to be. You can't afford to slip up because basically we're up against a nation state that as we've all seen, and who hopefully will come up against some sort of financial fair play regulations. But Man City, that's probably is it unfair on Man City? Maybe not, because Liverpool have also raised the bar because you've had Man City and Liverpool in the last 3 or 4 years that have essentially taken like the title race to a level which is essentially, if you're not perfect, then cheerio. Arsenal could feasibly get to 90 points and finish a couple of points off Man City because they keep winning, and that is mental because in like 15 or 16 of the last 20 seasons that would be miles enough for you to win the league. So that thing is, that's what we're up against. The other thing I'll just echo on what you were saying, Amanda. Zinchenko missing was actually massive. I thought Tierney for the first first 3 or 4 passes that he misplaced 3 or 4 passes, even when we were doing well in the first half an hour. And I love Tierney. Like Cookie, me and you have talked about how much like we rate Tierney and stuff, but he just looked rusty because he hasn't played that much. Maybe that is actually sort of on Arteta. I don't know. I don't want to go into that at the moment. But Zinchenko missing was a big thing. It changed our way in which we set up. And then I don't know, Cooks, if you wanted to actually get into this, but the difference between having William Saliba and Rob Holding, who didn't do massive, it's not like he had an absolute shocker today, but just the difference in quality was really marked because the team Rob Holding picks the ball up, and I saw this 4 or 5 times, particularly in the second half when we needed to, and we were 2-2. He's trotting with the ball, or he's playing it to Gabriel, and Gabriel does the same thing. Saliba drive with the ball. He looks for the more progressive pass, and he's better with it, and that has an impact. So Rob Holding can do nothing wrong, but he's just not Saliba, and that causes us an issue.
Yeah, I mean, Holding was on my list of people to talk about today.
Mate.
No, that's absolutely fine, mate. Absolutely fine. You segued into it very nicely. He had a hard game up against Antonio today, and I think in all of the games he's played, this has been the one where he stood out as being the noticeable weak link in the side. And it's not just that he's not as good of a centre half as William Saliba, but it really impacts the entire way the team plays in terms of pushing forward, suffocating opposition. We did not do that once today. We did not pile everyone forward and pen West Ham in. That's why I think we've so comfortably won games on the road this season, because we've got arguably one of the best centre halves in world football in William Saliba. Gabriel's been fantastic as well, and it would be wrong not to highlight that he was also very poor today. I didn't think he had a particularly good game. But those two together, I've never really liked Holding and Gabriel as a centre-half partnership. But obviously, having Tierney come into the squad, who I thought was rusty today, albeit I absolutely love the guy, but missing him, missing Zinchenko, missing Tomiyasu, it really is starting to hurt us at the back. And I do worry about when we're going to get Saliba back into the team, because it's not just this City game I'm looking at. It's not just the Newcastle game I'm looking at. Brighton at home is a bloody tough game. Like, that is a really, really difficult fixture that we've got. And then you throw into the mix Forest away, who have got a pretty decent home record, albeit United breezed past them today. They're going to be fighting for their lives. So, JJ, for you, if we don't get Saliba back soon and we're having to rely on Rob Holding for the foreseeable future, do you think that's where the title is going to be won or lost?
Yeah, and it's not just the Rob Holding injury, it's the Tomiyasu one as well. Because if you had Tomiyasu there, we could move Ben White into centre-back and have Tomiyasu as right-back, and I'd be a lot more comfortable with that than I am with this. Rob Holding gets a lot of unnecessary flack because he isn't William Saliba. That is not his fault, right? I back everybody in our squad as best we can. You know, there were times when Nketiah was, oh my God, when Jesus went down during the World Cup, what are we going to do? Nketiah, oh, he's rubbish, he's terrible. Never said he's rubbish or terrible myself. Went with him, look what he done. Got us the points when we really needed it, pull us through a tricky time. Holding, you know, a bit like El Neni, 1, 2, maybe 3 games, he'll get you through. But over a sustained period of time, he is not at the requisite level, especially for a side like us that is challenging for a title. In that second half today, I was screaming at him when he was doing those little short passes with. I was like, just get it up the bloody pitch, man. Like, you're not a ball-playing player. You're not quick to, if you lose it that high, recover it. So what are you doing? Like, literally, what are you trying to do? Because there's no way that he's coached to play like that. That's from him himself trying whatever in his head to think that's the right thing to do. And it was a dreadful, dreadful day for both of them today. And it was a dreadful day. I'm sorry, the second goal, as much as I praised Ramsdale last week saying he's the man of the match and, oh my God, that's so pivotal, that's bobbins for that second goal. I'm sorry. He is the harshest critic of himself. He'll be kicking himself when he watches that back because he flaps at it and it goes in. He'll blame himself.
I said it at the ground. I said because we saw a replay, they showed that. I went, Ramsdale should have done better. But when you actually watch it, he kicks it into the ground. So
but that makes it that he should get more of a hand of it because it's bobbled, Amanda. That's easy. That's an
Yeah, but
easier save for him to make.
No, I agree, and he should have done better. I find it really hard to blame anyone at the moment because we've just had such an incredible season. It's so
Yes.
hard
Yeah,
because
I totally get it.
I
And it's
went
not
really
over. I know
hard
we were a
on.
bit doom and gloomy, but
Yeah,
it's not over. Still got the
no,
point,
it
you
of course
got the
not.
points instead of the game in hand. I'd rather have the points than the games in hand if I'm, I don't know
And
how that
also,
works, but there we go.
until it's mathematically impossible, as I keep saying, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, I'm not giving up hope. I
Same.
will not give
Yeah.
up hope. You have to all remember that in 1989, Liverpool were City. You could not beat Liverpool at home. So we have that chance to do that. First of all, we need to beat Southampton, and I truly believe we will. I truly believe Friday night that place will be rocking. No one was, I mean, obviously, I was in the fans today. No one was booing our players or, screaming at anyone. We were all just disappointed. And I don't care what anyone says, that's allowed. We are disappointed. Um, a few people do feel we've lost it because obviously City, but I'm older than all of you. I've been there. So I get it. And when I was 18, and we had to go to Anfield, I said, I don't know why I'm even bothering going to Liverpool.
Wait,
It's not.
Amanda, I just want to stop you very briefly. I don't want to talk too much about the title just yet. I think let's save that till the end because that's going
Yeah,
to be, I suppose, like a nice way to conclude the podcast because there's so much we can unwrap with that, and it's important not be in this mindset of it's totally gone because we're
it's
still.
not.
No, it's definitely not. If we go to the Etihad and get a result, it's very much game on. City have got games to play. They might drop points, but like I said, let's save that all to the end of the podcast. I think the big turning point, the obvious turning point in this game is that missed penalty from Bukayo Saka. And I'm not going to lay into him because love the kids. We wouldn't be where we are without him. He is an absolute icon of Arsenal Football Club for me this season. But Chris, that moment, blatant handball by Mikel Antonio. We actually started the second half pretty positively. We go and score and make it 3-1. I think the game we should go on to win it, but it's a really poor penalty from Saka, and they immediately got the other end and scored that very soft goal. I mean, what was going on there?
It was an interesting one. Do you know when Saka struck it, I actually half celebrated at first because he's done so well with his finishing since the Euros when he missed that penalty. He's been banging away goals. So I almost was like, as soon as I saw him strike it and it went sort of at a half decent height, I was almost like, yeah. And then when I realized it went wide, I was like, oh, bloody hell. That really, really shocked me. And seasons can change. Literally, seasons can hang on pivotal moments like this. As you said, they got the other end. And I think it was probably symptomatic of how there were a certain number of players that just did not perform to the very high standards that they have set this season. The ball that goes over the top, Gabriel for some reason just switches off. There's part of me that was a little bit looking at where's Kieran Tierney in this, because surely the way that the ball floats over, all right, Gabriel just doesn't see Jared Bowen at all, but then Kieran Tierney's pressed up as well, so I wasn't quite sure why he wasn't just holding a line with Gabriel, and maybe if he was, he would have been able to cover that. And then, as Amanda says, the strike, he strikes it down and it hits the ground, but Ramsdale will be looking at that and saying, I probably should have saved that, to be honest with you. And do you know what? These things happen. If Jared Bowen puts it right down Ramsdale's throat and it squeezes under his body, then you say that's a howler goalkeeper. But he's going to look at that and say, I probably should have done better. But as I think personally, over the last probably month or so, every single game, there has been some top-notch saves from Aaron Ramsdale. So I don't really want to dig him out, to be honest with you. But as we were saying, at 2-2, you're then looking at it and saying, respond. Do something, respond. Like, I keep hearing from the players and Odegaard and Saka or the like saying 8 cup finals, 9 cup finals, 10 cup finals. So this is a cup final. So what are you going to do to win this cup final? And I didn't see the response after that to try and go and win that particular cup final.
That was the most frustrating thing for me, definitely, because, okay, it's a real blow. You've just missed a penalty to make it 3-1. They've gone on to score almost immediately. It was the worst pattern of events that could have possibly unfolded from that situation. But there's 40 minutes left of the game. If we play like we did in that opening 10 minutes, granted, psychologically, it's not as easy as doing that. It's certainly a lot easier said than done. But we, man for man, have shown we are a better team than West Ham this season. So we should have gone on there and asserted our dominance, which is something that we absolutely did not do. And I think the even more frustrating thing is West Ham weren't great either. It's not like we were penned in like we were at Anfield and we come out of the game thinking, lucky we didn't lose that 3-2. We just couldn't break them down. It was a case of them sitting in, defending well. Every ball we put in the box, they headed away. JJ, why couldn't we get the win today?
There's many reasons. I think, again, just second half, just trying to be too cute. Needed to get that ball in the box more. And we're just still strolling around doing these little intricate passes. And, you know, Fabio Vieira, I think, is a good player. And the minute he gets off Cowangate and starts eating proper food, he'll be an even better player. Because he was the wrong sub to make. They're big, burly, horrible people. That's all they did. You know, Jesus, everyone was going in the first half, like Chris was saying, this is like a training exercise. Look, he's playing centre-back, Tierney's centre-forward. That's ridiculous. Every good thing he was doing today was when he had his back towards those centre-backs and was turning around and drawing. Look at where the foul that we get for the penalty. It's all because he's holding it up, he's turned them, and they're not quick enough. So you should have got Smith Rowe on, who's more direct. You know, everyone keeps going, oh yeah, but he's been injury prone, he hasn't had the game time. How is he going to get the game time if the manager doesn't bring him on?
Stay there. We got a question on this, so everyone answer. Carl says, question, anyone know what ESR has done wrong?
It's trust, Amanda. Sadly,
manager... not to bring him on as a substitute?
Yeah, the manager doesn't trust him. At this moment in time, he doesn't trust him to do what he needs to do for the team.
I think for me, though, sorry, mate.
Go on.
I don't see the point in having him on the bench at this moment
in
time.
What I said.
That is how I feel about it, because I love Smith Rowe. Not scored a single goal for us this season. He got loads for us last season, loads of assists as well. And he was one of the guys that I had down to score 10 and maybe assist 10 as well. He should be in that bracket with Martinelli and Odegaard and Saka. For whatever reason, you know, he's had the injury and it's been a real difficult period to come back. We know he had the setback after the injury, but if he's going to be on the bench and the manager doesn't trust him to come on, I totally get that if we're winning the game comfortably 3-4-0, that's when Smith Rowe comes on. But there's not going to be a game like that between now and the end of the season. Sorry, there's just not. I mean, we might get that on Friday night against Southampton. Maybe. Can't guarantee it. But I agree with you, JJ. Like he's someone that I would like to see come on in these difficult periods, because we know the qualities he's got. He's someone that drives at teams. He's very different to the players we've got on the pitch. And for me, the overriding feeling is, I don't know how you feel about it, Amanda, I do not feel confident in Fabio Vieira coming on when we're trying to get a goal.
No, and I like Vieira, but I think he's one for next season and he does need to bulk up a little bit. But I do believe he's a really good player. However, I'm with you, Cooks. Why is it that ESR's on the bench every game, but he never brings him on? Don't put him on the bench. He would definitely give something different to what we need. Although I was screaming for Trossard, and as I was saying it to the boys around me, he brought Trossard on, which was right. I get why he took Partey off. I actually do get that, because I thought Partey was terrible today, which I've not said, I don't think, the whole season. And just want a little bit go back to Saka. Yeah. He's been quiet the last few games. Look at him at Liverpool. He's been quiet. Now, I don't know why. And I absolutely love the ground he walks on. However, if he's not doing it, he should have been substituted today. That was my opinion on Saka. And for the penalty, I was talking to people around me and I kept saying, I'd have Odegaard taking this or Jesus. I wouldn't have Saka taking it. He just doesn't look confident going up to it. And I don't watch penalties, so I turned the other way and I fully expected him to score. I fully expected everyone jump on me at that second. And when it didn't, I couldn't believe it. And then obviously I watched a replay of it and it was a poor penalty. You've got to get it on target. However, he's come out tonight on social media and says he holds his hands up and he takes his responsibilities. And that boy is just incredible, and I absolutely love him. And he's had racism again tonight. It is absolutely disgusting. Seriously, enough, people, with disgusting comments. I'm not sure if does anyone agree with this. NF said Saka is
Yeah.
burnt out. By the way, everybody, thank you for all your comments and everyone in the chat room. Sorry, none of us have said hello to you, but thank you for being with us. Does anyone think Saka's burnt out?
Yeah, he 100% should have come off today. Like you said, he did not have the best of games at Liverpool, but again, that to me was, when Ben White gets booked really early, that shuts down that link up because he doesn't want to take the risks because he's worried that if he gets caught, normally Ben White is a bit more, takes more risks because he's like, I've got a card spare there. If I lose it, I can kick some, I can trip someone up, pull someone back. So that was last week. This week, he just had a mare today. He just had a really, really bad game. And for me, it should have been him that come off. I'd have kept at least Martinelli or Jesus on. And I'd have put Nelson on for Saka, 100%.
I did get confused why Jesus came off, but maybe you saw something on TV watching it while
No,
I
I
didn't.
don't think it was that. I really didn't get the Jesus one. I mean, I don't know how you felt about it, Chris, but I know he got subbed in the game at Anfield. I think a little bit later on. He seemed to come off quite early in this game. And he was, I know he wasn't absolutely impeccable today, but he was definitely one of our more dangerous players. I was really let down by our two wingers, Martinelli and Saka. I know Saka was the one that was poorer, but Martinelli I thought was very ineffective in that second half in particular. Got the assist, fair play to him, but yeah, they were both as poor as each other for me. And Trossard, when he came on, I think you saw he had quite an impact on the game, but I would have liked to have seen him linking up with Jesus and causing a bit of havoc. I mean, as a whole, for you, Chris, what did you make of the substitutions?
Well, I think that we've been talking about Arteta as a young manager for a few years now, and it's his first full-time job. And certainly, if you go back 18 months, some of the decisions that he made, there was a few of us that were making questions. And I think occasionally we get games like this. I think what happened, my personal reading on it is that he decided, I think the Gabriel Jesus stuff was probably predetermined. So I think they probably thought, look, let's do 65, 70 minutes out of him and then bring somebody else on because we don't want to, he's only just come back from injury. We want to keep him fresh. Not whether or not I agree with that, I don't know, because we're only playing one game a week at the moment, and we don't play for another 5 days until we play Southampton next Friday. I think the other substitutions that were made, so Fabio Vieira, I think Eddie Nketiah on 90 minutes for Odegaard, didn't really understand that. I get the whole, it's almost Arsene Wenger-esque, Hail Mary, let's just chuck on all the forwards. But that doesn't work in modern day football. You can't just say, let's just play all the forwards. And because West Ham are a team that plays, like, statistically, when you look at all of the stats on FBref and stuff, they play with the shortest distance to their own goal in terms of where they are making interceptions and stuff like that. So they're quite happy to sit in a low block. For West Ham, a draw, once they got to 2-2, happy days. They'd take a draw all day long because all they need, as of today, they're on 31 points. I think they get another win because this league is so congested, another win or 2 wins, and they're probably all right. So for them, draw, happy days. And they were quite happy to just sit in, tuck bodies in, and say, break us down. And Jorginho, Partey had a shocker. So I can understand why Arteta hooked him. But maybe this sings to the fact that we don't have the depth in squad to impact teams like Man City who are going for titles, because they can bring on players that can change games. And we're bringing on Jorginho, who, he was all right. We brought in Nketiah on 90 minutes for Odegaard, which just disrupted our play. I didn't think Odegaard was good, but it disrupted it. Reece Nelson, I didn't really think he did very much. So it just, you're bringing on Nelson, you're bringing on Nketiah, you're bringing on Jorginho. Trossard is the one that you're like, okay, he can make a difference. But yeah, the subs for me didn't work. I think it's a black mark on Arteta. But again, I'm going to stop this monologue now, but I keep going back to, we are ahead of schedule, and everyone that's been talking about, because JJ's on, because we were talking last time about getting on the train. Everyone that's been talking about get on the train, we're going to win the league. I've been really reluctant for a reason, because I could see that this Man City team are just a juggernaut, and we don't. As soon as we need to, as soon as things don't go 100% our way, like today, we don't have the type of people that can change it.
Interesting. That's a very sad monologue to end on, mate. But like I say, we'll get to the title stuff at the very end. I hate to go back on myself, JJ, but because it feels so pivotal to me in terms of the games we've got coming up, I'm looking at that game against Southampton on Friday, and I can't help but feel that if we're going to stand any chance of seeing William Saliba start at the Etihad, he has to be on the bench at the bare minimum on Friday. I think we'll undoubtedly see Rob Holding start, but if we could get 20, 30 minutes out of Saliba, I mean, how big would that be?
Absolutely massive. Do you know what? Part of me was like, I don't want to go to Man City playing a cold William Saliba. However, after today, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, no, even if he's like 30, 40% of what we get out of him, I'd still rather have him than Holding against Haaland after today. So not a problem. But no, if he's not back at least on the bench for Southampton, then yeah, I would be getting the Godiva dogs out, just to find out what's going on. Where is he? Because it's clearly worse than what they're letting us on. If we don't have a positive update about him by Tuesday, panic, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is worrying, isn't it, Amanda? Because I mean, like you said, we will all get behind Rob Holding if he is the one that starts at the Etihad, and we shouldn't get ahead of ourselves because, like you've mentioned a couple of times, we have got this game on Friday that we need to win convincingly, but given how Holding played against Antonio today, I mean, it is really nerve-wracking. But let's not dwindle on that too much. I mean, we've got this game coming up against Southampton. A positive result, good. I think we've got to win this game about 3-0 minimum to restore good feeling within the team. But after these two difficult results, like these really difficult ones to swallow, we've still only lost 3 games this season. I think a good win puts us back in a good place going to the Etihad. How are you feeling coming up against Southampton on Friday?
Yeah, I'm feeling positive. I think we'll win, and I think we'll win by a brace, and I never say that. I really do, and I think then we'll take that momentum. We've got to the Etihad. We've got to win on Friday. Listen, if we lose Friday or draw, it's off. I'm done. I was never on the train anyway, so I never thought we were going to win it. I stepped on the train at the back and just sort of post Man United thought we've got a chance, and then a fantastic run. But it's just disheartening. I did not really expect to draw at West Ham in the last couple of weeks. Although when I said I was there, I felt this isn't going to be. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's not clicking, where everything's been clicking. Zinchenko may be the massive miss. I don't know what injury he's got. We only found out when the team came out that he wasn't playing.
It's precautionary, apparent. It's precautionary, apparent. That's what the club said.
Which is
so fine. Be back on Friday.
If he's not back Friday, then save him for the Etihad because we need him fully fit. I'd like to know what's going on with Partey today. Everyone had an off day, weirdly. Thought Erdegaard did all right for the first half an hour. I don't know if you saw on TV, but when he was substituted, I think he threw his captain thing on the floor. I don't know. He threw something. He wasn't happy, and I'm fine with that. I've got no issue. The boy's upset. He's our captain. What I did think as well, and it's nothing. VAR was nothing today, but I thought the referee was a little bit hard on us, where they weren't hard on West Ham, and the boys behind me were constantly going at the ref, and I'm not as like I don't follow the sheep. But I was looking at it thinking, do you know what? I can see what they're saying. They were backing into our boys. He was quick with yellow cards. I think there was a foul, but it wasn't a yellow card, and I get that. Give the foul. But you don't have to give a yellow card against one of our players. I can't remember if it was Partey or who it was. I didn't think it was a yellow card. I felt the ref they play acted a lot. Jared Bowen went down so many times, it was a joke. And look, nothing on the fact that we didn't score the penalty, and I don't remember us having a shot in the second half. I don't remember the goalkeeper making a save, and that they shot towards us. I kept thinking, I was talking to some boys on the way home on the train. Hi, Scott, if you're watching, by the way. I said I'd give you a shout out. I can't remember him making a save. However, we had 2 shots and we scored 2 goals. I'm I don't really know what to make of it. I don't think we're bottling it. That's something that doesn't come out of my mouth or my mind. I don't think that's happening. Just something's not clicking, and I don't know what it is. It hasn't clicked for a couple of games. So he's going to have to look at that. This is where he earns his money, our manager. This is it. This is the massive week. Southampton, thank God we're at home Friday night. That's all I say.
Before we do get on to talk about where this leaves us in terms of our title push, Chris, I do want to touch on, for me, what is a very big positive. We have virtually qualified for the Champions League for the first time in, is it 7-8 years? Feels like for absolutely ever since we've been in that competition. I, for one, am buzzing to hear that music back at the Emirates in 5 months' time. Obviously, it feels, I don't want to say insignificant given what we're going for this season, but you've got to remember we were virtually on our knees for Champions League football last season, and we've done it with 7 games to spare. How good is that?
That's brilliant. And also, just as a little aside, let's try not to be too down. We only need a one single point between now and the end of the season for St. Totteringham's Day to become an actual thing. So Tottenham are currently, having played the same number of games as us, on 53 points, and we're on 74, so 21. So basically, one more point, and it's there. And Tottenham are in 5th. So, like you said, we're essentially qualified. And if we dial it back, and this is, I'm pretty sure that in January I was talking on our pod. I was talking about this and saying, look, I know everyone's talking about the title and we're top of the league and it's all great, but for me, in my head, just get top 4. That's what Edu said at the start of the season. He said, we have to get top 4 for our project, for our plan. That is what we do. That is the bare minimum. Anything else is unacceptable. We'll tick.
However, Chris, I'm going to stay with you, mate, because I think this is what we were talking about in our WhatsApp group earlier, and this is why we're both so frustrated about going out the Europa League. Because if we do finish second, okay, great season, we've watched some fantastic football, but no one's going to remember a second place finish, and we'll have no silverware to show at the end of it. So for me, top 4 and the Europa League would have been a phenomenal season, regardless of how this title push ends. I still think that would have been absolutely incredible. Okay, fixture congestion could have been an issue, and the likelihood is that we, you can't say for certain we'd have gone on to not win the league, but I think it would have made it maybe a bit more challenging. But City, they're having to fight on all fronts, and they've got more quality in depth, but they've still got a fairly thin squad. So it's all ifs and buts. But do you still share that opinion that going out the Europa League? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
100%. I wanted to go. I wanted to get myself on the plane to a Europa League final. We don't. This football club, we've not got a history of winning lots and lots and lots of European trophies. If we'd have won 3, 4, 5 Champions Leagues in our history, then maybe I'd feel a bit different. But some of the comments, some of the other podcasts that I've heard of people saying it's good that we're out of this competition, not at all. I'm sorry. I'm quite a risk-averse person, and play the percentages. And the percentages are, the more tournaments that you're in, the more competitions you're in, the more chances you've got of winning shiny silver trinkets. And that's ultimately what we all want to see at the end of the season, is Arsenal lifting a trophy. That's what we all remember. I was there for the recent FA Cups that we've done, the last 3 or 4 FA Cups. I was there, and I will take those memories with me to the end of my days. We've mocked the likes of Tottenham's and other teams who have finished second and gone, well, look, we had a good season, we finished runners up, and it's like, yeah, but you didn't win anything. You got to a Champions League final. Who cares? And that's exactly what we're going to be faced, because that potentially we had an eye on the trying to go for the title. Win that Sporting game. And so, yeah, it still sticks in my craw a little bit, mate.
So with that in mind, JJ, now our eggs are very firmly in the Premier League basket, and with these 2 results that have kind of given us quite a significant dent in the title race. I do think it was a bit of an overreaction when I logged onto Twitter after the game and just saw league gone. It's not gone. It's become more of a challenge, but that's what this is, a title challenge. And I think there's going to be more twists and turns. City have still got to play some very tough games. We're all assuming that they're going to win all of their games and they're going to beat us. None of this is a given. Football's a crazy game. Anything can happen. But JJ, how are you feeling going into these last 7 games? Do you think we're still on track to win the league?
Well, we've got the points. Like I said earlier, the points are worth more than the games in hand because we've already got them on the board. They still need to do what they need to do. And apart from both of us playing Chelsea, every other team that we've got to play, that includes us and Man City, have all got something else to play for. They're all either in a relegation battle or they're trying to get into Europe. So I don't think they're all givens. It's just that, like Chris mentioned earlier, in the last 14 years, he's not won the title 4 times, Guardiola. So in order for you to beat Man City, you have to be note perfect. Note perfect. And we are, at the moment, sadly, the last 2 games showing cracks. But it isn't over. I've come this far. I'm not going to turn it back round again. I still believe we're going to do it. So let's go. Let's keep the faith and let's keep going. Friday night, under the lights, start there, and then we'll see what happens in Manchester, won't we?
That's the most frustrating thing about it, isn't it? If City didn't exist, we'd have this sewn up. But the fact of the matter is they are, well, I think someone referred to them as a robot earlier because that's just what they are. I mean, they had their blips earlier on in the season, losing at home to Brentford, losing away at Spurs, a few months ago. I mean, they had those games where the pressure wasn't on, and now we're at that part of the season where they just know what they have to do. I said it last week. All of their experienced players, they're guys in their early 30s. They've done this time and time and time again. And you compare that to us, shining players that are 21, 22, 23. It's 2 very different ends of the spectrum, which is why I think, given the players we've got, the players they've got, and the fact they've added Erling Haaland into the mix of that team, this will be, for me, one of the best Premier League title wins ever if we are to pull it off. I think it's such a challenge to stop them. But Amanda, I mean, how are you feeling after these past couple of games? Do you still think that we can turn it around? And like I said earlier, a win on Friday definitely will change the mood, won't it?
Yeah, I just want to go back to Europa League. Who didn't want to go for it? I don't get it. What
I've heard
they
a
just
few podcasts, I won't name them, but I've heard a few people saying this is a good thing. This could be a good thing. I've seen multiple people on Twitter saying it.
It's a trophy, a European trophy. Are you all mental? Oh my God. I was devastated when we're out there. I don't really want our eggs in one basket, but it is. How do I feel? As I said at the beginning or before during the thing, I've been here before and it's weird. It's just strange that you're sort of hoping, aren't you? You're holding on, going, okay, we'll beat Southampton if we can just get a draw at City. But then I've always been like you, Cooks, worried about Newcastle. And then you go on and on. We just have to take one game at a time. So at the moment, we focus on Southampton. I feel very positive. I think the crowd will lift them and I think we'll win the game. And then we go 7 points clear, and they have 2 games in hand. And my dad's always taught me, as LL Cool J says, points on the board are much more important than games in hand because we've had games in hand before and we've not won them. You sit there going, oh, we've got 2 games on this and we can get 6 points. We never did. Someone in the chat also said that Leicester should have had could have had fought back to 3-3. I don't think it's impossible to go and win there, but we'll talk about this next Sunday night when we're back because that will be the focus. But I do think we'll beat Southampton. I don't know how I feel. I've been a bit up and down. I've been like disappointed and then positive again. We have done so brilliant this season. This is where he'll earn his money, Arteta, this week. This week is so important. We've got to get our 3 points at the Emirates. 8 o'clock Friday night, which is ridiculous. I hate playing Friday night. But we played at Anfield on a Friday night. And I keep bringing it up. It's only because we were written off when we lost. I'm going to get it wrong. Drew to Wimbledon, lost to Derby. And that was just before we went to Anfield. And they went and beat West Ham about 5 or 6-1. So it's similar, except it's not the last game of the season. And even if we beat City, it doesn't mean we're going to win the league. But if we lose to City, I think it's all over, if I'm honest.
Chris, before we go into the questions, is there a part of you that thinks if City do win all of their remaining games and they beat us, which means they'll have won against us 3 times this season, is there a part of you that just would say, fair enough, like we can't compete with that?
I'm sort of already coming to that mindset, if I'm honest with you. I'm looking at, they've won their last sort of 6 or 7, it might even be more than that in all competitions. So if they then go on and win the remaining 8 games, you have to just say, well, this is just an absolute monster. If they win their remaining 8 games, that's what, 8, 16, 24, they're going to finish on 94 points and they'll have won 30 football matches out of 38. That's crazy. But in the same token, we've got 7 football matches. If we win the remaining 7, I don't think it'll happen, then that's also crazy. So yeah, my personal view is that you have to just hold your hands up and say, we're up against a nation state. We're up against a squad which is just immense, that has got experience of doing this. And we are a year or 2 ahead of where we were supposed to be. So I'm trying to look at the positives, but that's probably because I've always held back from thinking, yeah, I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to do it. I've looked at the fixtures more than anything else. It's the fixtures that I've looked at and thought, this is going to be, we are the outsiders. We've been the outsiders the whole season, despite what people say in the recent weeks. I'm looking at City's remaining games. They've got Fulham, the bankers that I think City will win quite comfortably. Fulham, because they're not playing well at the moment. Everton, West Ham, Chelsea. Chelsea are in a spiral, and Leeds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 out of their remaining 8. And then you've got question marks over Brighton and Brentford, maybe. And then you've got us.
We've got to talk about this next week. Let's talk about Southampton.
All right.
Come on.
Well,
I tell you, one game at a time. Let's talk about their games when we talk about them next Sunday, because it's getting on my nerves. Because you've got to stop this.
Let's not look beyond Southampton, and I think we've kind of covered how we're feeling going into that. But I did say before we got onto the questions that we'd have a very quick chat about that. But JJ, I just want to bring you into this quickly. I've seen a lot of people saying if we don't win it this season, then when are we going to win it? But when you look at the age profile of our squad and the players we're being linked to, the likes of Declan Rice, we're obviously building something that's going to be around for the next 5 years, you would hope. So is it a case of if we don't win it this season, it's never going to happen? Because for me, I still think we're going to be well up there this time next year.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, because that's just, I think that's a bit silly to say that. However, I get what people are looking at, because everybody else that's been bobbins this year are going to go out and spend loads of money. And trust me, when them Geordies make Europe, especially Champions League, which they will, all the players that you think Arsenal are looking at, Man City are looking at, Liverpool, your Uniteds, the Geordies are going to go, well, what are they offering you? Because we'll give you 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 more than what they're doing, because they're finally in it, and they're not going to, their whole thing will be every year we're going to get top 4. Every year we're going to win all the trophy. They haven't even scratched the surface of the money.
Yeah, but the only thing with that, James, is that you're asking players to go and live in Newcastle more than London. So there may be that factor as well. There's no disrespect to Newcastle, but people do want to live in London.
If you've been to Tiger, you'll want to stay there. Trust me.
Tiger.
It's great. It's a great laugh. It's a bit of flares. They've got a good pop world down there. We
have to wait and see on that.
The money speaks now. The money in football, the money talks now. It's not the loyalty. That's all gone. When I saw Raul play for a different team than Real Madrid, I knew that loyalty in football was finished.
I've just taken a look at that comment from Unique79. Thank you for commenting, mate. I know you're always tuning into the show. I really don't care about team strengthening. So will we. And if you look at Chelsea, then they're a perfect example of how you can spend money and not get it right. Same can be said of Tottenham. Look at Richarlison. They spent 60 million on him. We looked at him last summer, thought, what a quality signing. Done absolutely nothing for them. So we hear it every single year. Teams will strengthen. Teams will strengthen. And if you look at us and you look at how good our recruitment has been and how well structured and organised the club is right now, I'm confident in whoever we bring in will slot into this team like Trossard and we'll get it bang on. I think we're in a brilliant position to carry this on. So let the other clubs spend their 200, 300, 400 million. We'll focus on us and we'll keep going. But now it's time to get into the questions for the last part of the show. So, question number 1, Phil Macker. Amanda, I'll come to you on this one first. Do we have the mindset to be champions? Long pause there from Amanda.
No, not on today's performance and not on the last couple of games. But if you ask me next Sunday night after we played Southampton, I might think differently. I'm being honest, okay? It's not something that we don't have the mindset, but maybe you don't need the mindset to win the league.
Same for you, Chris?
The way that they've been talking in the narrative, and the way that I've heard them talk about, the game by game, and every time we've won, very level-headed, I say yes. But the last 2 weeks have made me waver. So I don't think I'm answering the question, but I'm sort of going yes, no.
How about you, JJ?
Have to find out, won't we? 7 games. We'll know in 7 games' time.
Such a politician's answer.
I think we might know in about 4 games' time, if I'm honest.
Well, I think we might know
That's
on
because
Friday.
you're not on the bloody train.
What do you think, Cooks?
What do I think? I think one thing I've noticed is Arteta's body language isn't quite as passionate as it has been in the past. When we missed the penalty today, I really noticed he was looking deep into the ground. And I feel like, a couple of months ago, he'd have been applauding on the sidelines, trying to G his team up. I think I might be reading too much into it, but that's just something that I feel is wavering. I don't think you can say definitively whether we do or don't. I think this is a team that knows what it wants, is enjoying the football they're playing. But obviously the pressure cooker is on right now. And we've seen what's happened in the past 2 games. And obviously that is very worrying. But we know the quality this team possesses. So, we'll wait and see. But on to the next one. Amanda, I'll stick with you. Is Tierney a step down from Zinchenko from Carl Stark?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Chris?
Yeah, it absolutely is. Like we said earlier, he misplaced a few passes, but that's down to rustiness. But what Zinchenko has given us in terms of the almost chaos theory that we deliver when we are moving him to midfield and then you shift the defence across, it just doesn't happen when he's not on the pitch.
Yeah, I think he was noticeably, I don't know, he just looks uncomfortable playing that role. How do you feel about that, JJ?
Yeah, technically, he's nowhere near, but he is a better defender, and he created our best chance in the second half. So, regardless of what you think, he nearly scored when he come on against Liverpool the other day, and he created our best chance in the second half today. So I'm not going to say he's completely useless, because I think that's just silly to say. But yeah, in terms of as a technical footballer and what this team wants Zinchenko to do and has been doing, and I mean today, if we had him against West Ham, we'd have completely swarmed their midfield, and yeah, it would have been a totally different game.
Yeah, I think if Tierney was playing in another system, then you'd definitely see a different player because he just doesn't suit this tucked inside role for me. He wants to be that player to bomb on, and that's what he's always been so good at, putting balls into the box. He just doesn't look right playing in that midfield role, which is why I think, sadly, if he does end up going to Newcastle, he will be really, really good for them.
He made a brilliant block second half as well today as well.
Yeah, he is a fantastic defender, and irrespective of him not getting much game time, he is still one of my favourite players at Arsenal. But another question from Phil Macker, Amanda. If no Saliba for the City game, do we put White as centre-back?
Me and Chris are doing it, I think.
We're doing it together, aren't we?
I'm thinking of what am I doing there?
Amanda, you do it. I'll kick my hand off the mic. Go
on. If no Saliba for City game, do we put White as centre-back? Don't know. I don't know.
Chris?
Who'd you play at right back?
Exactly. I'm thinking,
JJ,
Tommy
you're right.
is not fit, is he?
We haven't got another option.
No.
So unfortunately,
I've seen let's just have a quick theoretical plan, I suppose, for use of a better phrase, of potential options that we could have there. Number 1, Roy Waters. No chance for me. Number 2, Reece Nelson.
No.
Nope. Number 3, Kieran Tierney at right back. Also a no from me. So I think the caveat to that is, why would you want to put White in at centre half? Because he's not played there once. Not played a single minute there this season.
If I can offer a counterbalance to that, he spent the whole of last season there, and he's so adaptive. He can do it. He could come in quite easily and be an upgrade on Holding if we had the right back. We don't.
But can you imagine for the City game? Let's theorise that we did do this, and we had Raw Waters playing there. Raw Waters or Nelson or Tierney playing out of position against Jack Grealish, who has been scintillating. No. I'd rather suffer whatever decimation would come with Holding against Haaland. So, yeah, either way, it's a lose-lose for that one.
Next to Zinchenko, our most intelligent actual footballer is Ben White. That's why you want Ben White against Grealish. Don't muck it around. If it's got to be Holding against Man City, then I'll say my prayers and eat my vitamins, and we'll just go from there.
Fantastic. Another one from Carl Stark. Which Arsenal player today had a good game? This is a really interesting one. It's really hard to pick out. I think Odegaard got man of the match.
Odegaard just.
That's mental. What did you make?
Gabriel Jesus for me.
Well, when I came back from the game, Carl and I were talking, and I said, I can't find one. I can't find someone who was man of the match, nor could he. So who do you think? Jesus, Chris?
Yep. He was tricky. He scored. He caused them problems. He came off on 65 minutes. And to be honest with you, as we've already said, he probably shouldn't have come off. So, yeah, he was easily the standout player for me. And there was a lot of 5 and 6 out of 10s, unfortunately. And he's probably the only one that got to a 7 or an 8.
Okay, fair enough.
I completely agree with that. Another one from Unique79. Jojo, come to you on this one, mate. This is 1989 and 2008 all over again. The question is, will the outcome be 1989 or will the outcome be 2008?
It'll be 1989.
There we go.
There you go.
Does anything more need to be said, guys?
I mean, I would say not, but I don't want to be a neg, so move on.
And I'm not commenting.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've definitely heard enough from Amanda about 1989. Sorry, Amanda.
We really have, haven't we? We
have. No, we're not. I'm not mentioning it until next Sunday night. Our next question, Cookie.
Are we running out of energy?
From Uncle Melvin Marks. Oh, can I just...
Is that as a team or as us as 4 people doing this right now?
Are we giving off that vibe?
I think there is a case for that. I do think that today we look like we run out of energy, and I don't know why. As we said, we're only in one competition. Why are we running out of energy? But can I just say a quick thing? I'm going on to Melvin's show on Wednesday night to talk about the 1998-2000 season, I think.
Oh, thank God it's not 1989.
No, he's already done that, and I told him off for that. But yeah, I'm going on Melvin Mark's show, so I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday night if anyone wants to join. Chris, do you think we're running out of energy?
No, I don't. I think what's happening is that the players and the manager and the staff, they're being tested mentally, and the question is whether or not they've got the mental fortitude to actually get over this. But energy-wise, I don't think that's an issue because we're physically not playing the matches for it to be an issue. So yeah, I think it's up here. Are we running out of energy? No. Physical energy? No. It's up here.
Mental.
Why is that happening though, JJ?
Again, it's the inexperience. And today was arrogant. I'm sorry. We thought that we were done and dusted. And, you got to remember, they've got a job to do themselves. They're in their own kind of battle before they obviously got a brilliant point. They're trying to fight off relegation. And they smelt blood. As soon as they got it to 2-1, they were like, we can get them like they done last week.
And do you think it's a case of when it gets to 2-1, the team kind of have that, they share that opinion of West Ham almost? They're like, this could go wrong.
Yeah. And again, sadly, due to the injuries that we have, it's people that aren't used to playing with each other. We've had the same lineup pretty much the majority of the season. Now it's changing and people aren't used to them and everything else like that. And like you said as well, Gabriel, when Holding is in there, has to play a completely different game because normally, especially at some points, and don't get me wrong, I don't think Gabriel's a bad player at all. I think actually he's really, really good. But there were times this season where Gabriel was doing two-man's jobs. Saliba was doing two-man's jobs, helping Gabriel. When Gabriel has to do the two-man job, because Holding's completely drifting off to the right side, he's not good enough on his own to do it. And again, you saw it today. The penalty, if you look at it, it's a big swan dive, but he does commit. So it is a penalty, sadly, but it's a humongous dive from Paqueta. And he even tapped him afterwards, as if to be like, I've done you there, and I'm sorry, but I need, needs must.
Can I just ask a question to all of you? Do you think we know how to kill teams off?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've done it at Fulham.
Well,
Done
one
it again.
game.
Done them
Okay.
against Nottingham Forest at home. Smashed them by 5.
I think it's this unusual situation we find ourselves in where we're winning about 2-0 and then we concede and there's still quite a lot of the game left because, like I said right at the start of the podcast, we've been 3-4-0 up and then we've conceded with about 5-10 minutes to go. And you're like, well, it's frustrating to concede. We've not kept the clean sheet, but it doesn't really matter. Whereas now we're conceding earlier on in the games. It's happened twice in a row. And it is that mental fragility that's coming in. So, yeah, it is worrying.
Okay.
Next question. Will ESR ever play for us again? That's a very deep one. Who wants to go?
Yes, of course he will. Yes. Move on.
Yeah, I think just very quickly on that, I compare this to when Martinelli was out the team for a long time after his injury, and he barely played. He was it was very similar. He was on the bench all the time, but he never came off. But then the next season, we started to see more and more and more and more of him. And I think it's very similar with Smith Rowe. They just want to keep him in and around the team, get his fitness to the absolute peak, play him through the pre-season, and then he'll be raring to go. I think pre-season is massive for Smith Rowe. But in answer to the question, yeah, of course he's going to play for us again. Another one from Carl Stark. Interesting. Do we need to rest Martinelli on Saka and Saka on Friday night? I'll get my answer very quickly out of the way. I think we need to rest one of them.
Which one?
I think either or, to be honest. Given how Saka played today, I would probably, rest him, bring Trossard in. And I'd actually play Martinelli off the right. I think Trossard wasn't great when he was still effective and still good. Got an assist in that game he played off the right for us not too long ago. But I think I liked Martinelli on the right when he's played for us. And to be honest, I won't be too fussed because we all know they're going to interlink and interchange, and it's going to be very exciting what front three starts. But yeah, that'd be the one for me. Trossard in for Saka. Who wants to go next?
James?
He won't rest either of them. He'll pick both. So I love you, Carl, but it's a question. It's sort of a nothing question for me because it's not going to happen. Unless something happens, like I said, in training, and we get told, he ain't resting either of them. He'll look at Saka today and go, right, we're at home. It's a team that's, near I think they are bottom, actually, Southampton. Go out there, Saka, get your goals back, get your confidence up before the big game that's straight after it. So, yeah, he won't rest either of them.
Yeah, makes sense, I suppose. How do you feel about that, Chris?
Yeah, I can only echo James's comments. I think that's where we're at.
Perfect. Another one from Carl Stark. Is second place a failure? Amanda?
No.
Chris?
I'll be disappointed, but no.
No, of course not. Definitely not.
No.
JJ?
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I'll be disappointed, but no, it's not failure at all. And it makes me laugh because all year it's been that Arsenal aren't going to do it. Arsenal can't do it. Now, these same people that are on Sky and everything else, Arsenal losing it from where they are now, that's bottling. Well, hang on a sec. You've told me, you've told me for 31 games we're not going to do it. Now, if we don't do it, we're bottlers now. Just doesn't make sense to me.
I can't stand it. I hate the term bottle jobs because
we
okay, look, the pressure's on. It's a very young team, but we are not bottle jobs. I mean, we might be hesitating a little bit at this very poignant moment in the season, but who can really blame them for being such a young team? Okay, we're really frustrated, but from where we were a year ago, I mean, for God's sake, we want a trophy to show at the end of this season, but we're very, very, very far from being a bottle job. And that brings me on to the last question from Patrick Roberts. Chris, I'll come to you on this one, mate. Do you think the club's 5-year process is giving us fans too much hope based on how far ahead in that process we are, according to the board?
No, I think what's going to need to happen is we're going to need to find out where we are at and what the final position and win or lose the title, whatever it is. I think only a month after the season has finished and the dust has settled will we really start to be able to recognise, okay, how do we feel? And my gut feel is that when I get to sort of end of June and I'm having barbecues in the garden, talking to fellow football mates, that I'm talking about how we're in a great place. We've finished second in the league when nobody was even expecting us to finish in the top four. So the process is exactly it's ahead of where we want it to be. And last season it wasn't great, but we all had good feelings about the club, and those good feelings will continue, and that will bleed into next season as well. So when we play that first game in the Emirates next season, there will be the same positive atmosphere. I guarantee it, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fans have played such a vital role in everything good that's happened this season. I think we can all agree that the atmosphere, the general feel goods feeling around the club at the minute, especially at home games, it's been the best I've known it since I've been going to the Emirates. So yeah, the fans have certainly played their part in that. And let's keep it going, for God's sake, because okay, it's been a slip up today. It was a slip up last week, but we've still only lost 3 games. It's 2 draws on the roads. In any other season, we probably wouldn't be looking at that as an absolute disaster, but still hell of a lot more to play for. So on that note, I'm going to leave it there. Amanda, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I was fuming, but I just want to say to everybody, thank you all for joining us. We've had so many people in the chat room tonight. Well done to you, Cooks, as well, for hosting. Isn't easy when you're disappointed, but we haven't lost. That's the thing. You feel like it's a loss when it's a draw like this. But yeah, onward we go to the Emirates on Friday night.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Chris, you there on Friday, mate?
I sure am. Beverage in hand, no doubt.
Lovely. Thank you for coming on, mate.
Always good.
Lovely. And JJ, mate, always a pleasure speaking with you. How have you found it? Therapy, I hope?
Yeah, no, I was fine anyway. So, but yeah,
this is why I love having you on, mate.
I am there Friday, so if they do not win, I will be livid. I'll be livid. So train home on a Friday night.
Not the train you want to be on.
No, it is not, because it's going to be full of lager louts probably. So, but we will wait and see. Maybe I will be one of those lager louts. Let's wait and see.
I hope so, mate. I really do. But yeah, on that note, we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you to absolutely everyone that's tuned in tonight. The comments and engagement has just been, well, it looks like it's been some of the best we've got since we've kind of rebranded the podcast. So thank you to each and every one of you that's tuned in. Thank you to the wonderful panel, as always, for coming on and making this the fabulous podcast that it is. And onwards and upwards, let's get that win on Friday. See you later, guys.
Good night, everyone.